guys, it's Oberstadt. So I wanted to do this video because for a couple of reasons. One is I enter giveaways all the time. I fill out surveys, I do quizzes, I do all kinds of things to try and win giveaways. And I'm 38 and this is the very first one that I've ever won. And I enter them daily. So when Samantha March from March Beauty World did a giveaway with Stands Out Beauty, I of course entered like I do everything else. Entered her 75K giveaway, entered her 40K giveaway, entered this one. I enter them all the time. So when she tagged me on Instagram and said that I had won to send her my address, I was blown away. So what it was is you were supposed to basically post a picture, write a caption, leave a tag, and of course, make sure you were following both places and stuff like that. And I have seen a lot of people talk about these like weird memory foam sponges. Now, I use like a little one from, this is a Real Techniques. It came in a 4-pack. I bought it at like Ulta, I believe. And I have a couple of other, I have an EcoTool sponge, I have a Japanese sponge, I have a Bogosh sponge. I even have the Sephora one, but I haven't even opened it yet. It's still in its thing. I don't use like brushes on my skin because I have very, very dry skin. I have like a lot of like peach fuzz on my face, so I try and use like the makeup sponges instead of like brushes for like liquid and cream products. So the fact that I won the giveaway, I was blown away. But then it came in the mail and I was like, this is neat. Number one, the box is beautiful, but it's this like diamond shaped sponge. And I have a lot of health problems. I have fibromyalgia, I have problems with my back, I have scoliosis, things like that. And I sleep on a memory foam mattress. And when I touched this for the very first time, I was like, oh, this feels like weird. It is like a super, super soft version of my memory foam mattress. Like super soft. Like you push it in and your like finger indent stays in there until it rises all the way back to full size. And I'm like, oh, that is so cool. I even had my dad touch it because it was soft and it was squishy and it was neat and I liked it. So I already have my skincare done. I have an oil on my face and I've primed my face with 3 products actually. I have the Peter Thomas Roth Skin to Die For. This is like to help with pores and I've got it basically right in here on my face because I've got a bunch of like spots that look like pores. There's not anything in them, but I just don't like the way that foundation sits like right here on my face. And I've got it here. I've got the VDL Lumalayer primer on and I mixed it with the Milani Prime Perfection primer. I'm just trying to use this up. It feels like sand on my skin, but it's the hydrating one. So that's why I have 3 on. The VDL one is moisturizing as well. So I've got that all over and I will be using my Wet n Wild yellow corrector under my eyes before I go in with foundation. So that's all that I've got on my face right now. This says it is a multifunctional blending tool designed to apply a streak-free airbrush finish to your complexion. And I have a lot of problems with all these like little peach fuzz pieces that stick up here and I've got them on my forehead. And I've tried these like tinkle razors to like shave those off and shave the ones off my forehead. But I found that all it did was like irritate my dry skin and I didn't want more irritation and more dry spots and more flaky skin. So I stopped. I only did it like twice. So I'm intrigued in like trying this. It says the warmth of your skin is all that is needed for the Stands Out Beauty sponge to reach its optimal softness. It is recommended to use the sponge damp the first 3 to 5 uses while in its break-in period. Reading. After that, water is optional. The Stands Out Beauty sponge can be used as a finishing tool by lightly patting and rolling over the face, leaving a seamlessly blended look. Pro tip, use a large rounded side for pressing and rolling foundation into large areas of the face, such as cheeks, chin, and forehead. Use the triangular side, which is basically like the front piece. So the rounded side is the top. The triangular side is the one that's facing you. It says use the triangular side for applying concealer and powder to the under eye, and then it says use the flat side, which is, either one of these sides, for perfecting your contour under your cheekbone, jawline, and along your nose. Well, I don't usually contour this. And it says it's made out of polyurethane. That's all the ingredients that's on the box. So I'm going to go ahead, and all I've done is like this since I got it. I haven't even taken it out of the box yet. So I've deformed it. Oh, it even says there's on here, it says how to care for sponge, and I'm guessing that is probably supposed to be folded down. Let me fix your box for you real quick. Okay. How to care for sponge. Squeeze delicately with warm water and a mild bar of soap. Work into a lather, then rinse. Repeat until the water runs clear. To avoid snags, rips, or tears, avoid excessive twisting and pulling. Gently squeeze out excess water and let air dry. Replace sponge every 6 months or as needed. And since I rarely wear foundation. So here is the size of the actual sponge. It's a pretty good size. I mean, it's bigger than the width of my forehead. I could probably use the sides for my forehead, or just be very careful how I'm using this. So it is like really freaking cool. Like really cool. It's still slowly like reforming. This fuzz on it. But I mean, look at this. If nothing else, if I don't like it as a sponge, it'll be a really fun toy. I'll probably sit at my desk and play with it. But I'm going to go ahead and get this wet. I'm going to do corrector under my eyes, and then then we're going to play with foundation. Okay, I'm back. I have corrector on. I threw on some bubble tea macaroon lip balm on my lips because they're like really chapped in the center. I do have it wet. It kind of feels like tacky almost, the fact that it's wet. So I'm going to be using the Wet n Wild Photo Focus Foundation in Porcelain. This is a little too pink for my skin. Okay, it's a lot too pink for my skin. And usually I mix another foundation with it in order to lighten it, but I'm not really going anywhere, so I don't mind that it's darker. I do have another video to record. I guess it would help if I grabbed a mirror. So I just picked a little up on the sponge. So let's see how this works. And this foundation literally smells like paint. It almost looks like what a paint roller would do to paint on the wall as it's going on my face until it blends out. And I'm using like dabbing motions. I'm doing half my face, and then I'll come up close to the camera so you can see what it looks like. And I didn't take a whole lot of foundation and put it on my hand at first because I didn't want it running all over the back of my hand like it was doing. Why is there always a hair that has to be in your way? I don't know, it looks really odd on the skin. Like really odd. All right, now I'm like close to the camera so you can see it. And this close to the light, whoa, it looks like it's a really bad match, but it is a little bit lighter than this side of my face, but I have a cleanser that caused my face to lighten. So if you look, my neck actually matches my face right now. I don't know, it's just really weird, the texture that's going on. Interesting. Okay, just for some grins, I'm gonna go ahead and take my little sponge that I use for like concealer under my eyes, and I'm just gonna take a little bit of it and apply it to part of my face so I can see what the difference looks like on the skin. Well, I tell you what, this little guy like sheared the foundation out quite a bit. That blob of foundation that I got didn't go very far. And normally I would use a bigger sponge for this. It's just this little guy was out and it was already wet. I didn't feel like digging the other sponge out. This side definitely looks a lot more smooth than this side. All right, I'm gonna come up close to the camera. So this is the side with the Stands Out Beauty sponge, and this is with a Real Technique sponge. Again, Stands Out Beauty, Real Techniques. I think this side looks a little bit more smooth and more blended into the skin. This side, it looks like it's more like sitting on the skin. So let me try and press and roll. All that seems to be doing is moving the foundation around. Let me go back over it with this little guy. I think this little sponge is actually helping like blend it into the skin, whereas like where I haven't blended it, I can see like every hair, all the texture of my skin, but once I go over it with this little sponge, it seems to like calm down a little bit. And foundation never seems to stick to like the end of my nose. I don't know why. It's one reason why I hate wearing foundation. So I wonder what it'll do if I go over it with this sponge and then try and go back over it with the Stands Out Beauty sponge. I hate wearing foundation. I really do. That's something that I just can't stand the way it feels, and it could just be my opinion on wearing foundation. I don't know. I hate wearing foundation. I can't stand wearing it. So it's probably not the sponge, it's probably just me. Well, I like it for like all over my face afterwards, and it works really good under my eyes. So I'm gonna go ahead and put on my Makeup Revolution concealer and use this little thing and, whoop, I just dabbed a spot on the side of my nose. That's okay. And I woke up with a breakout right here on my face this morning. And it says to use this side for concealer, so we'll see. And I noticed, like, going over the tip of my nose with this thing actually works as an eraser for makeup too. So definitely don't like swipe, dab. Okay, not caring for that either. Maybe if I like squish it. It seems like it sheared out the concealer quite a bit. So I'm going to go back over that and then use my little sponge, because I have like really dark circles under my eyes and I try and disguise them as best as I can. And this concealer isn't like too much lighter than my skin tone. It's like a half a shade maybe lighter than my skin tone. So I'm going to go ahead and get cream. Well, it's not really a cream bronzer. It is a BB cream that's too dark for me. I'm going to go ahead and put that on my face, and then I'll use the new sponge to blend it out. But I'm going to put the cap back on my foundation before I knock it over. All right, now that I've got that on, I'm going to use another, like the edge of this, and kind of like blend out everywhere that I put it. And it's a Dr. Jart BB cream, but it's in like light medium, and it's kind of got like a nice taupe undertone, and it's beautiful. It's just too dark for me to wear on its own, so instead of like throwing the product away or not using it, I use it as like bronzer, contour, whatever, face definer. So I hate the way foundation looks in my hairline. Makes all my little baby hairs stand up. I think that blended out nice. And it says you can use it for powder as well. No, just concealer and that kind of stuff. So let me go ahead and use my powder products and stuff like that, and I will be back once I get my under eyes powdered. And I just stab myself in the nose with my fingernail. Real smart, Rebecca. And I will come back and I will give you my first impression thoughts on this like sponge. Okay, now that I have blush, bronzer, highlight on, and under eye setting powder, I did use this little sponge to go back under my eyes because I scrunched up and I had all these like funny little lines under my eyes from where I had touched the powder down, and it left all these like wrinkle marks under my eyes. But what I usually find when I put any powder products on, and I put a little bit of powder here on my face, but not really a whole lot, other than, you know, the Lumi Bronze, the Tarte Party Blush, and my, is this Electra highlighter from Luna. I usually end up having to spray my face with like the Rose Hydrating Mist from Sephora or another spray in order to get the powder and stuff to not be as noticeable on my skin. And you would think with not only a oil on my face, but a foundation that's still kind of like, it's like tacky to the touch, that powder would just kind of stick to it and not like be noticeable on the skin. Well, for me, I always see it. So what I ended up doing was flipping, because this is the side I applied the foundation with, as you can see. So what I did was I flipped it over and I just went over everything that I had here, anywhere that I had put like highlight, anywhere, literally anywhere on my face. I just kind of went back over it with this little guy, and any of like the powdery look that was on my face, now it just feels like satin. It doesn't, the only places is like right above my eyebrows on my forehead where I didn't put any like product, I didn't put any powder, but it's not like if you like touch your finger to it, you're gonna like stick to your skin. It's not gonna move the foundation underneath. It's just, you can kind of touch it and still feel that it's a little bit on the damp side. I noticed that this worked really good at like getting all of like the powder products on my skin to like mesh really well together. I didn't really like it to apply the foundation, and I didn't care for it with trying to blend out my corrector under, or my concealer under my eye, because I thought that, number one, when you stick this under your eye, you've got like this much of it sticking off your face. So I tried like squeezing this part of it, but then you don't have as much pressure under your eye as you would by pushing on it from back here. So I didn't really care for it for that. And again, I don't wear foundation a lot. I usually just wear corrector, concealer, blush, bronzer, highlight, and that's my face products. My skin is actually really, for me, in my opinion, I like my skin. I don't want to like hide it with foundation. I don't like the way foundation looks on my face, and I certainly don't like the way it feels. But I really enjoy how this like buffed everything out. It like blended everything out. It like, I guess you could say, smooshed it into my skin, making my face feel literally so soft. It's like a combination between silk, that kind of like slip feel with a little bit of resistance, and satin, where it's like super slippery. That's what my skin feels like. It's like a cross between silk and satin. So it's like I can't stop touching my face. So and I just took some highlight off. That's sad. So anyways, I really like how it did that. I really wasn't feeling this sponge. I really didn't like how it applied. Again, I didn't like how it applied my foundation. It left, like when you take a paint roller and you go up the wall, the little pattern mark that it leaves from the fur on the roller is what it looked like on my face. But going back over it with the regular sponge kind of like pushed it down into my skin and made it look smooth. And then going back over it didn't seem to change that effect any. It just kind of helped blend it in more. So maybe if this was a little bit more like less squishy, more dense, that I wouldn't have a problem with it doing that to my skin. But I think I will use this as like my finishing product. Instead of having to spray something extra on my face, what I'll probably do is just and I don't know, I mean, it doesn't feel like too damp right now. It basically feels like it did when I took it out of the box. And I haven't been recording for more than 15 minutes. So the fact that it just like blended everything perfectly, took away the powdery look, I really like how it did that. I probably won't use it to blend out concealer or foundation, but I will use it to go over the rest of my face. And, you know, anything that looks like, say I've got a harsh line down here. I even used one side of this to like put powder on this part of my face, and I mean it did fine doing that. It's no different than using this little guy I usually use the flat side to put powder on targeted areas, because I really only put powder under my eyes, and then I powder like right here on my face and occasionally my chin, because I have a tendency to sit at my desk and do this. So that usually wears product off a lot faster if I have anything there. Usually I don't carry product below here on my face during the normal makeup wear, because I'm only putting on product here and occasionally on spots on my face. So I really do like this for like blending everything out as like a finishing touch, but for foundation and concealer, it's not something that I would use for that. But I will probably use this every time I wear corrector and concealer, just to like go back over the powder that I put under my eye that has a tendency to leave like a strip right here of like little particles on my skin. And I do go back over. I have this Real Technique setting brush that when I have powder that I've put on with my little micro sponge, I'll go and I'll like buff like this into the skin for this entire area, and I just kind of do this to like buff the powder in and around and make sure that this whole area is covered. But I think, and even after doing that, I still end up with like a half moon shape right here on my face, where this just doesn't, I either miss it or I forget to get it or whatever. I think that this will do a much better job. I'll use the little guy to apply the powder and push the concealer into my skin, and then I'll just go back over and do this to help further compact that, and then maybe the sponge will just take off whatever extra powder that I have on my face. So I really like it for that, and I will probably do an update on this sponge in a month. So basically mid to late March, I will be doing a review again on this sponge and letting you know how it's working out for me and what I think about it, and if I've tried to use it any other way. I also did like how it blended out the BB cream that I put in the hollow of my cheek. That worked out really well. But you figure I also had product on underneath of it, so I will have to try it out separately to see how it works on its own when I don't have foundation on my face. So we'll see how that is. But anyways, I'm Rebecca Oberstadt. This was my first impression review of the Stands Out Beauty sponge, and I really want to say thank you to Stands Out Beauty for the fact that they were doing a giveaway, but for the fact that Samantha March was also working with them, and they worked together in order to provide not 1, not 3, but 14 of these sponges. So I really, really do appreciate that. And I appreciate Samantha March and her hard work on YouTube, and the fact that if I contact her on either Twitter, Instagram, or on YouTube, she responds back. And it might be an hour, might be 12 hours, but she always responds back to something that I've had. Like if I have a question, or if I leave like a comment from her stories or something like that, she always responds back. And I really love that at almost 100,000 subscribers, that she does take the time to respond back to people, and I appreciate that. And I am super grateful and very thankful for the fact that I had a chance to get something like this. I would have never thought to even buy anything like this. Actually, the only other person that I've seen use anything like this is Tati and Rachel. And I didn't know where to even look for something like this. I'm not quite sure if this is the sponge that Tati reviewed or that Rachel Loves uses, but if it is, I will link their video reviews of this down below. And even if it's not, I might still link their review of it down below. But I really do like this. And I'll also link Samantha March's channel in the cards, and I will link her channel down below in the description box as well. So hopefully you guys like this first impression review of this very unique, fun, squishy makeup sponge, and I hope you guys have a great day or night wherever you are. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. Feel free to leave me a comment down below and ask me questions, and yes, I will probably sit here and squish this because it is so cool. It feels so neat. And I will see you guys in another video. I do upload every day at 5 p.m. Eastern time, and I will see you guys in another video. Bye.